Hello fellow YouTubers and welcome to another episode of World of Warships Misplays with your host LoneGun. How you all doing? I got a great one for you today. This time it's brought in by or uploaded by a guy called Maruni in his Piemonte. What's the Piemonte, I hear you all cry? Well, she's a tier 11 tech tree ship. Yes, she's a starship. Yes, a Super Venezia. Standard Venezia has like, let me think, 15 guns. 5 turrets, 15 guns, set in triples. This one has just 12 guns. But the Piemonte has a larger caliber. She's 254mm as opposed to the 203s you find on the Venezia. And she's had a whole load of recent buffs. About 4 or 5 months ago, Wargaming decided she needed a buff because there were complaints that basically the Venezia could do around about the same amount of damage. So what did they buff? Well, they buffed the guns, of course. The guns now fire further. They fire to 18.7 kilometers, so you no longer need a range mod if you don't want to. You can slot the reload mod in slot 6 instead. She also got the shell velocity buffed from 950 meters a second to 1,000 meters a second. They upped the damage on the sap by 7% from the original to 7,500 total, and her AP is up 10% as well to 6,750. Now, as you can see in this match, what we've got is a lack of destroyers in mid. Both teams only have 2 destroyers and 1 submarine, and no eyes in the middle of the map. So you can see the Satsuma, the Smolensk and the Libertad of Team Green, if you check the minimap, are moving over to the right flank and abandoning the middle. Unfortunately, they didn't split. I think the Satsuma would have done better to join the Thunderer on the A flank or the left flank. Let's see what this sap can do to the Azuma. See what we got here. Okay, slightly angled Azuma, and he takes 11,729 damage. Angling doesn't work against sap, which is one of the things that makes this ship really, really nasty. Because, of course, that sap doesn't care about angle. Let's see, how much damage have we got there? 8,457 with 5 pens. And hardly any effort at all. Meanwhile, the Azuma continues to weave, trying to avoid the sap barrage. See what that one does. Poor ricochets. So he's decided to swan-tail away. Very wise too. Right, we've got a Yamato, practically broadside, firing a full salvo into the side of the Yamato, and we get 7,000 damage. Not too shabby for 4 pens. Okay, and firing again, this time slightly lower. He's aiming for the upper rail, lower deck. The upper belt armor, lower deck, and he gets almost 10k damage with 5 pens and 1 non-pen. So, as you can see, the damage stacks up very nicely and averages out at about 10k per salvo. The range, of course, is very welcome, but Maruni's stuck in the middle. He's relying on his team to spot for him because he's got the range. He's trying to support both flanks, but he is mainly, because of the island arrangement, I'm mainly only able to support the left flank from here, and he's got some hits on the Mecklenburg. Essentially, he's just farming damage in mid. And Team Red split as well because, of course, they too were missing a destroyer. Note the Benham at sea that's stopping the Team Green's fleet from pushing through. He'll be spamming torpedoes. If you don't know the Benham, she can put 16 fish in the water at very regular intervals. Okay, around the 60-70 second mark. Which is pretty scary, really, and people don't like pushing into Benhams. I wonder why. A lot of torpedoes will be eaten. So the Benham is holding the entire fleet up on the right flank, and the Satsuma isn't happy about it. Meanwhile, Team Green has lost a couple of ships on the left flank. including a Hanover and a Siegfried. Okay, both of those ships are now gone. And Team Red is looking very strong indeed, with only a Fletcher and a U-2501 to stop them pushing through A. And a Thunderer all the way back on the B line. Not too sure why he's all the way up there, but I imagine he's sniping using the Fletcher to spot for him, and of course the submarine. But yes, he's sniping in a Thunderer. I suspect the mains are keeping him back, because each main comes with 16 406mm guns. They're super battleships, they're tier 11, they're a super Montana, and they are as scary as fuck. So I kind of get why the Thunderer's back. I get why he's so far up the map. There's really now only 2 ships left on this side of the map, the Thunderer and of course Marooney, who's basically struggling to hold mid. Team Red are now pushing into A and are looking to possibly take B. I can see the Azuma's heading that way now. And, okay, bows on Azuma. And the Piemonte sting him with his rears. How much damage? Yeah, he tickles him for a few K. 4 pence. Decent. You see, you can't even push into SAP. Alright, firing at the main. Well, I should have said is you can't push into SAP without taking some damage. It's inevitable, really. The main threw the brakes on, and that missed. Okay, so we've got a throttle duking main. And at these sort of ranges, I get it. I totally get it. Okay. Marooney's used his first heal. And let me tell you a little bit about the armor profile of this ship. She's got an icebreaker on the front, 40mm. Above that, 25mm nose, and beneath another, of course, more 25mm armor. Then after that, she's got 40mm deck armor that's great for angling away and hard to overmatch. And she's also got 40mm upper rail armor. Okay. Her citadel sits on the waterline. So she's not the easiest ship to citadel, but broadsides do count in large amounts. So you don't want to show broadside in a Piemonte, or you will get citadeled pretty horrendously. But she's quite tanky. She doesn't have an icebreaker on the back. It's just 25mm of armor, which is why the main was doing good work and good damage to the back of the ship. But bear in mind, you've got to hit the nose or the stern or the bow of this ship. With battleship shells to do serious damage. Anywhere else is not so serious at all, and you will get ricochets, shatters and bounces from her quite strong armor profile. So yes, she's pretty tanky, and the torpedoes she's putting out are like the standard Napoli torps. They do 13.5 kilometer range. They do around 14k damage a pop. They're not really there to just completely destroy. They're more of a deterrent, really. Kitakame's moved up and is now lighting Marooney for the enemy team, Team Red, so they're getting some good shots into him. And the 2 mains are moving further up. There is a Piemonte on their team with the 2 mains. And all they can see right now is the Thunderer and Marooney. And what on earth? There's a Smolensk in mid. Okay, so Team Green Smolensk is making a beeline for the mid-cap. Meanwhile, Team Green has pushed through C, they've dealt with the Benham, and they're now heading down towards the John Bart. The Yamato and the Stalingrad that were on that flank have now switched to mid and are moving away in a defensive formation. Although I'm not sure what the Stalingrad's doing. It looks to me like he's about to get himself killed doing that. Okay. Going back to our friend Piemonte, he's already up to 149,000 damage. And Marooney is now putting lots of fire down on the main. 12,756 there. Ouch. He really is getting some really good damage into the mains with the 254mm sap. And he's managed to land 2 torpedo hits, and there's another 8k. He's moving around, trying to make himself a difficult target for the mains. And of course he's messing with his ship speed to make himself a very difficult target. 6 more pens, and we're almost at 200,000 damage. We're at 191,208. So far, if you look top right, you'll see the potential damage thrown at Marooney's ship is 1,671,900, and he's only used 2 heals. So yeah, this ship is pretty tanky. Pretty tanky, and he's holding up, or stopping the advance of 3 super ships, a cruiser and a Kitakami, which is pretty impressive stuff. Meanwhile, the Thunder has gone and joined the Satsuma. He really doesn't want to play. And what we've got down there, we've got a Hawaii and a Libertad. Now, those 4 ships on Team Green really could do with regrouping and then making a concerted push for B. Let's see what happens. Okay, Smolensk just took out the main with fires, but unfortunately the Smolensk was sunk by the enemy fleet, so that's just a flesh wound right there. I don't think that would have ended any other way. I don't see how a Smolensk can handle firepower of that magnitude coming from Team Red. But Team Red are quite scattered too. They've captured A, they've captured B, but the ships in general are all hanging back, and I think they're running a little bit scared of Marooney's sap, and with good reason, if you ask me. I think it was a good idea of Marooney to stay in mid. I think maybe the Satsuma should have gone to the left flank to add a bit of extra fire support for the Thunderer, and those two could have worked together to stop the push at A with the Piemonte. But it wasn't to be, was it? So it is what it is. Okay, the Team Red's Zuma is pushing through. The Yamato just took out our Hawaii, so Team Green is now down a Hawaii. And Marooney gets his first medal, the high caliber, at 242,964 damage. But has still not sunk anything. We are now 12 minutes into the match, and with that amount of damage, so it's mostly been straight up damage farming from this guy. Although the Piemonte is starting to look a bit low, so it's a bit of Piemonte on Piemonte action going on here. Okay, it's basically who lands the most accurate salvo that's going to win this duel. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Yeah. And Marooney wins the duel. All the time being fired upon by the main, but he kept himself bows onto the main and presented a very tanky profile. Now he's going to smoke up, use his Italian smoke to do a 3-point. Oh. Right, okay, so Yamato. Let's fire on that. Okay, firing on the Yamato. God, those torpedoes are incredibly slow. And we get a Confederate. Pretty good hit. Firing again.
Rilasciata cortina fumogena.
And another... Ooh. Another 10k damage. Wow. This ship really knows how to pump it out. He's got the outnumbered buff to improve his dispersion. A lot of people are doing this with their cruiser builds now. The 2 buffs mean that basically you get tighter dispersion and your guns fire faster. Very, very interesting indeed. Look at that dispersion. 12,249 damage on the Yamato. Very, very nice. My goodness. Okay, the Kitakami is still in very close proximity to Marooney. And it's at this point he realizes that maybe the Kitakami's made a mistake. So he's pushed in to the Kitakami's last known position and is hoping to spot him. Okay, Yamato takes out the Libertad, and now there's only the Thunderer and Marooney left, and there's the Kitakami. About to get punished very severely. 8k, 2k, 10k damage right there.
nemici stanno per
Okay, here come the Kitakami talks. Maruni really isn't fast. He's not even going to check those. He's just going to push through. Gets a Citadel hit on the Kitakami with the sap. And the Kitakami, let's face it, the top rail of a Kitakami is always Citadel. Okay, Kitakami gets a hit, but gets punished for it by getting sunk.
Problema risolto, signore.
Sure, you can hit me with a torpedo, but I'm going to kill you. Love it, love it. Okay, now we're firing on the Yamato. Yow, Chihuahua. Hit him hard there for 11k damage, or right on the nose. Now, he's very aware that the nose is soft, and so he's shooting the nose with sap. And enormous numbers there. Well over 20k damage done there with the 12 guns, and no more Yamato. So, yes, this ship is scary. Very, very scary. I would say from a misplay point of view that the misplays have come from both teams in this battle, but one of the biggest things that set this up in the first place was the fact that they were lacking eyes in mid and there was no carrier, so they had no one to spot the mid except the cruisers, and no one was prepared to take the risk. You saw what happened to Smolensk earlier when he tried to have a look. And this is why destroyers are so important. And this is why when you get these matches where there's only like one destroyer aside or no destroyers aside, things get really interesting. Or in this case, two destroyers aside. Because they put the subs with the destroyers right at the beginning of the map. So nothing was in mid. No destroyers or submarines in mid to spot the team. 14,440 on the main. Let's go. Soft target. Wow. That's a lot of damage. Can he do it again? No, he overshot. Okay, 6k though, still reasonable for a overshoot. Shells literally clipped the top of the superstructure and the rest of them went over the top of the ship. But he's getting some very accurate shots into the superstructure with this particular build. The dispersion is so tight. That was another 15k damage. I'm loving this build with this ship. I think Maruni's build is solid. Another 12k. He's taking advantage of the dispersion he gets from outnumbered. And to great effect. My goodness, he's really punishing the main. We're over 418,000 damage. And we've tanked potential damage of 3 million. Over 3 million people. That's battleship levels of tankage, right? Oh dear, the U-4501. The U-4501 sunk the Thunderer. Not too surprised at that. What I am surprised about is you see on the minimap where the U-4501 is. He's remained undetected since he was detected at that spot right at the beginning of the match. And he managed to cross the entire map. Nice. Nice. And Cap C, which is incredible. Incredible that he managed to travel the entire length of the map undetected. But then bear in mind he can do almost 39 knots, 38 knots, about 37, something like 37 knots underwater, almost 38, which is pretty damn fast, isn't it? And you can build them so that they can stay submerged for 5 to 6 minutes. So I think I know what he did there. I think we know what he did, don't we? Pretty impressive play. Pretty impressive play, and I'm now starting to feel a bit sorry for Maruni, because if the sub decides not to make a mistake, this match has been won by Team Red. If you look at the scores, they maintained a 2-cap advantage for the entire match and are about to finish on 1,000 points with 43 seconds left on the clock. Maruni is hoping, desperately hoping, that round this corner is a U-4501 sat on the surface. He does have submarine detection, or submarine surveillance, but the problem with submarine surveillance is it only surveys subs that are under the water. If they're above the water, it won't detect them. And also the range is somewhat limited. So, and it's on cooldown. So it looks like it's match over, unfortunately. But what a game. 439,407 damage in the Piemonte by Maruni. If any of you guys have any other replays that you want to send me, the email's in the description. please do send them in and I will have a look at them, and if I think they're noteworthy I will put them on the channel. He got 3 medals in the end, didn't he? What's that? A high caliber, a dreadnought and a Confederate. And I suspect that was an expert play as well. If you think he made any mistakes, let me know in the comments. If you think there were any misplays from anyone else that I might have missed, because there was, let's face it, a lot going on, feel free to discuss it in the comments. Let's have a look at the team score. How did he do? Oh my god, 2,487 XP. Honestly, if I got that on a win, I'd be happy. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's crazy. Crazy damage, crazy base XP. What a game, what a match. I hope you've enjoyed this match as much as I have commentating on it. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm just looking at the boosters now, 160%, that got him over 1 million. But he spent 500,000 almost on repairs and costs for this ship. Very expensive these ships are. Very expensive indeed. So you take the 500,000 off, he still made 1.1 million credits. With a 160% booster slotted. Cool. Well, my name's LoneGun, and this has been the Piemonte. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you.